And welcome back. Russia's defense minister claims that Moscow has an intercontinental weapon that flies 27 times the speed of sound and that it's operational, ready for combat. The Russians claim that the avant-garde hypersonic glide vehicle can be launched from a ballistic missile. It can also make maneuvers after separation, making it much harder to intercept. China claims it's developing a similar system. Meanwhile, Russia, China, and Iran have started a joint naval exercise in the Gulf of Oman. The drills include rescuing ships on fire or vessels under attack by pirates and shooting exercises. The drills last until Monday. Joining me now to talk about it all, retired Army Colonel Douglas Macgregor. Colonel, great to see you. How concerned should the U.S. be at these joint exercises in the Gulf of Oman, teaming up Russia, China, and Iran?
I don't think we need to be concerned very much. We're talking about the Russians and the Chinese, frankly, who are extremely concerned by the very high probability that the Iranian government could suddenly implode. The government is very weak as a result of the uprisings in November and early December. I think they're trying to stiffen resolve in the Iranian government because they don't want a war in the Gulf and they don't want to see chaos break out in the region.
And yet, the UN arms embargo of weapons sales to Iran is set to expire, I think, this coming October. And, Moscow, the Kremlin making noise about, how they're going to start selling arms and weaponry to Iran. Would they really do that?
Oh, of course. I mean, the Russians don't have much to offer anyone in the world other than weapons that are, frankly, cheaper than what we would offer. So, no, I think that's exactly what the Russians would like to do. But if the government falls apart, the economy implodes, and you have widespread chaos, they're not going to have anybody to sell anything to.
Yeah, that's a great point. President Trump has issued a stern warning to Russia and Iran against the killing or the murder of innocent civilians in Syria. We know that more than 200,000 have already fled their homes. What can the U.S. do? What should it do, if anything?
Well, I think your point at the end is correct, if anything. Your viewers may or may not know that Idlib has been a sanctuary for the surviving Sunni Islamist terrorists who were part of ISIS, including thousands of Uyghurs from China, others from Central Asia, Turks, not just Arabs, and they have been seeking refuge in Idlib, and Mr. Erdogan in Turkey has been trying to rescue them. I certainly would not rescue them. I'm sorry that the civilian population is leaving, but the civilian population there has actually been supportive of these people. So frankly, I would stay out.
I mentioned at the top that Russia has now developed, or they claim they have operational, this hypersonic ICBM, 27 times the speed of sound. Do you believe that, first of all? And well, I mean, they've made false claims before about weaponry.
That's right.
Yeah. So do you believe that? And what should our reaction be? Develop our own hypersonic? I know it's sort of in development. What about interceptors in space and so forth?
Greg, you hit the nail on the head. This time last year, Mr. Putin and his defense minister announced a nuclear-powered ICBM, which subsequently had some problems and then suddenly vanished from sight. And it, too, was going to imminently enter the Russian arsenal. I think we need to understand that moving a missile this fast, we can do that now. I suspect the Chinese can. But guiding it to the target, maneuvering it at these very high speeds, especially at high altitude when you're trying to re-enter the atmosphere, those things are extremely difficult. The Russians cannot do that. So I would put this aside and keep it in mind. But we also are pressing ahead, and frankly, I think we'll get there ahead of them. Whether or not we all decide to use these things, that's another matter. But I think you're right. Let's be skeptical of the Russians on this one.
Yeah, typical bluster bravado, but we move ahead nevertheless. Colonel Macgregor, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Sure. Happy New Year. Thanks, Greg.
You too.